it's like, sis where? Who's gonna pay that? Not me. No. So people utilize the bike lane out here, okay? Like, we're from Washington. We don't do umbrellas. We do North Face, baby.
I'm the girl you shouldn't fuck with. Chilling with the boys, you do.
What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Michelle here, and I'm back at it with another video. Now, if this is your first time ever being on my channel, then I'm gonna need for you to smash that subscribe button and join my family. And if you're already part of my family, then welcome back, fam. Welcome to another video. I'm so happy you're here to join me. But before we actually get into this video, y'all must think I'm playing or something. Smash that subscribe button. Okay? And while you're at it, turn on your notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a video, because you definitely don't want to miss out. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, again, welcome. My name is Michelle. I am a Seattle-based YouTuber. I can officially say that. I'm a Seattle-based YouTuber. Woo woo. So today is going to be a start of a new series that I'm so excited to start, and it's going to be my Seattle series. With this series, I plan to show you guys what it's like to live in Seattle, give you guys information about possibly moving to Seattle and any information about the city. Basically, I'm here to rep Seattle pretty much. Now, today's video is going to be things that you should know before moving to Seattle. I think I'm going to do the top 3 things that I think you should know before moving to Seattle. But before we get into that, I just want to give you guys a background on me, myself, moi. Okay? So, I mean, I've told y'all this so many times. I know y'all are like, girl, but just so I can get it clear for y'all, some of you guys may be on my channel for the first time, so I definitely just want to keep it real and let you guys know. I am originally from Seattle. I was born in Seattle. I was born in Seattle proper. And I just found out what that meant recently, but I was truly born in the city. A lot of people like to say like surrounding cities, because a lot of people may not know where Auburn is, Everett is, you know, Tacoma is, but I was actually born in Seattle, North Seattle to be specific, okay? So then I moved to Sacramento when I was in 6th grade. I don't know how old I would have been. Like, I'm not someone that's good with the age, just being like, oh, I was in 6th grade, so I must have been 12 years old or whatever. I moved when I was in 6th grade, okay? So then I moved to Sacramento, California. Grew up there, you know. I grew up in Sacktown. I was a Sacktown gal. I was living in Cali, became a Cali girl, loved Cali, never thought about moving back to Washington. Then I came back to Washington for college. Don't ask me how, just know I'm a Nigerian kid. There was no going to community college. Period. Okay, so that's how I ended up back in Washington, and I started going to Washington State University. And as y'all know, I am in pharmacy school. I'm in my last year of pharmacy school. I know. Where you gonna find a pharmacist that look this cute, huh? Don't you want to get your drugs from me? Okay. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, so I am in my last year of pharmacy school, and I'm doing my last year in Seattle. That's my home zone. So pretty much this is my first time living in Seattle since I was in 6th grade. I do have family that lives in Seattle. My brothers are in Seattle. My parents are still in California. My grandma's in Seattle. I have cousins in Seattle. So it's really nice because I have the best of both worlds, you feel me? I have my family in Cali, my parents in Cali, so I could always go home to California. I will always be a Cali girl at heart, but I wasn't going to continue living in Sacramento, period boo. But yeah, and I have my family here in Seattle, so I'm very comfortable in both states. So that's a little background. So yeah, this is going to be things that you should know before moving to Seattle, because technically this is my first time living in Seattle since I was a child. So this is technically my first time moving to Seattle, and this is my first time moving to Seattle from Eastern Washington. So I was living in a town called Spokane. That's where my school was. Let's not talk about that, okay? I didn't like it there. But yeah, so now I'm in Seattle. I am so sorry you can hear outside. I will close my window so we don't have to deal with this. Okay, so now that we've done a long enough intro, I'm gonna be real quick about all this information that I think you need to know. So I have my list. Let me find my phone. Hold on. Okay. So I wrote a list of the top 3 things that I wanted to discuss when making your decision to move to Seattle. A lot of people have been moving to Seattle. It's actually really crazy. Before I decided to film this video, I had to look up because Seattle is so expensive to live in now compared to when I was a child. I mean, I wasn't paying rent as a kid, but I know that the price of living has definitely, the cost of living has definitely skyrocketed. Okay, I don't know what it is in the water. I know that you guys want to join us to the rainy side. I don't know what it is, but it is very expensive. Could be Amazon and all these job opportunities, but Seattle is definitely a place where people want to come and live and visit. So I love it. My friends can come visit me. I tell them that all the time. Come to Seattle, come visit me. It's a beautiful city. But yeah, so I do know a lot of people from California like to compare Seattle to San Francisco, which I could see the similarities, but there are some differences as well. Okay, anyways, so the first thing on my list is weather. If you do not like rain, this ain't it. This ain't the spot for you. Like, that's an obvious. A lot of people talk about how rainy Seattle is. Yes, it is definitely very rainy. If you don't like rain, this ain't for you, girl. This ain't for you. Rainy, it's rainy, it's rainy. So being someone who was originally from Washington, then I moved to California. I really can't remember too much because I was a little kid when I was living in Seattle, so I can't remember how I dealt with the rain, but I do know that when I came back, I'm like, oh, the rain is real. I think I could go away. I could get away without having a hood. You need to get a hood. I remember even when I came to Washington for college, like my friends were like, we don't do umbrellas, because I had the big cute umbrella. I couldn't wait to be strutting down. I'm gonna insert a picture of the umbrella, but I couldn't wait to be strutting down the street with my umbrella. And we were like, they were like, we're from Washington. We don't do umbrellas. We do North Face, baby. And I was just like, oh, well, damn. I didn't know. So if you're someone that can't do the rain, I don't know how you're gonna do Seattle. Me, I can do rain. I prefer rain over snow. It does snow sometimes in Seattle, but the difference between coming from Seattle and coming from Eastern Washington is the city of Seattle is gonna shut down if it snows. When I was in Spokane, rain, sun, snow, anything, thunderstorm, you're going to school, you're going to work, there's no excuse. You better be prepared, you better be strapped with your snow tires. But here in Seattle, it will literally, the city's gonna shut down pretty much, you know? So that's a good, I mean, that's not a good thing, but if you are from somewhere where you're used to dealing with rain, or you could deal with rain, then you'll do just fine in Seattle. It is the summertime and it's still raining. Like, my homegirl hit me up to go out with her tonight, and by 8 o'clock it was raining, and I was just like, no. But one thing I will say about the rain is I find it very soothing. I don't know about y'all, but I definitely find it very soothing. So I love the rain. It makes me want to just light my candles and chill and just like relax. So I find rain soothing. It doesn't bother me. So all you need is an umbrella and you're good to go. Or North Face and you're good to go. Okay guys, so the next thing on my list is transportation, okay? So the next thing is transportation. So transporting in Seattle. So there's a couple things I want to say. Number one is the traffic. So traffic can be a little here. Okay, so I don't think it's anything close to like LA traffic. I have experienced LA traffic before, but there's still traffic, especially when it hits maybe like 4:30 and you're on I-90 or whatever it may be, or not I-90, I-5 or whatever it may be, you'll definitely run into some traffic, especially around downtown, especially on the freeway and anything, especially going into Seattle. So I would say when you're coming from south going north, or you know, whatever it may be, you're gonna have a lot of traffic, especially since a lot of people do commute and they work in Seattle and they work downtown. There's a lot of people that work at Amazon, there's a lot of people that work at Facebook, just things like that. So you'll run into a lot of traffic. Luckily, I live like close enough to downtown, but far enough to like not have to deal with that too much. So I live in a area, don't know if I want to say the area I live in. I'm not going to say, but I do live in an area that's very close to downtown. There are a lot of sub-cities within Seattle, a lot of different neighborhoods. I wouldn't say sub-cities, but I would say neighborhoods. There's a lot of neighborhoods. There's Queen Anne, there's Capitol Hill, there's Ballard, there's Wallingford, there's Fremont. Like, there's a lot of different neighborhoods in Seattle. So just think about that. Think about what your commute would be from where you're working or wherever you need to be, because there is traffic. And let's not even get started on when, you know, football season comes. I have yet to really experience that traffic that much, but I have heard about what it may be like when you're going home when there's a football game or anything like that. Right now we're in preseason and I'm already hearing about the traffic, you know, so that is something to definitely think about. But also think about Seattle's a city where you have a lot of bikers. So people utilize the bike lane out here, okay? That wasn't a thing in Sacramento. We was all in our little buckets and our cars and our buses or the light rail or whatever, but people literally utilize the bike lane. So people literally utilize the bike lane in Seattle. So you're gonna have to deal with, you know, people that are actually on their bicycles, okay? So that's something to adjust to if you're not used to driving next to people that are in the bike lane, or you know, whatever or if they're in front of you at a stoplight or whatever. So that is something to think about. And the last thing is public transportation. There's public transportation, obviously. So there's a lot of buses and stuff like that, and the metro, and getting an Orca card and all of that. So I'm getting adjusted to it. I do currently take the bus to my rotations because parking can be a mess, especially if you're going downtown or you're working downtown. You might as well just get a bus card, or maybe your job like supplies you with a bus card or whatever. I would definitely utilize that because you could save gas, because tying into the traffic, you might as well just, you know, go ahead and ride the bus. A lot of people do it. A lot of people do it in Seattle. It's nothing wrong. Their transportation is actually not bad. Their transportation system, I haven't had any issues with it. Unless you've had bad experiences, then comment down below. But I personally haven't had any issue with it. I do have an Orca card currently that my brother gave me, so I use that to get to where I need to go, okay? And then I can use my car wherever else I need to go. But parking is a little tough depending on where you are in Seattle. There's a lot of zoned parking. There's a lot of places where you need to pay to park, and you know, all that stuff. And if you want to avoid getting a ticket, you want to avoid saving gas, then I would definitely just say utilize the public transportation. When I moved, I know that was something that I was definitely like looking into, because when it comes to finding an apartment in Seattle, there was a lot of like places where the prices sounded good, and then there's all these extra fees that get thrown on top. So that's just not the rent. You have all these extra fees. Like if you want to have a covered parking spot, it can be anywhere from like $75 to $200 extra, like on top of your rent. Or you have to get a parking pass or whatever from the state in order to park. Like there's just a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, I don't want to have to go somewhere where I have to pay extra to park. Like I don't want to have to move somewhere where I have to worry about finding a parking spot, because I'm not very good at parallel parking, period. I'm really not. But I have to learn out here because That's what we got, okay? Unless it's an old school apartment, they might have apartment parking, but that's very rare. And then on top of that, you probably still need to pay for a carport. So definitely think about that, because that was the big thing for me. Like, I found like some reasonable places, but it was like there's no parking, or you have to pay an extra $200 to park there. So I'm like, you might as well just include it in the rent instead of trying to make it look cheaper, when if you have a car, you have to pay that. So that was an issue when I was looking for apartments, because I'd see stuff and I'm like, okay, this is within my budget, and then I add on all the extra fees on top of that, and it's like, sis where? Who's gonna pay that? Not me as a student, at least. So I definitely want to just give you a heads up, because that was an issue that I had with trying to find an apartment to move out here. Another issue I had was I wasn't in like Seattle when I was looking for my apartment. I was in the East Coast, and it was really hard. It was very, very hard. A lot of places that were affordable living like would not let, okay, I'm going on to my next one. Okay, so a lot of places that were like affordable living would not let me get those places as a student, which is really weird. And I'm a grad student at that. I'm not like, you know, I'm a grad student, but I had a hard time, like, you know, getting certain apartments, or, you know, they're like, you need this month, you need your first month's rent, then you need your last month's rent, then you need your upcoming month's rent, and then you need the security deposit. Like, what? But let me not even front like I didn't do that for my apartment, but it's just like, it's a hassle, okay? And then on top of that, you may need renter's insurance, which is not that expensive, but there's just a whole bunch of stuff that gets piled on top of just that rent. So don't look at that price like, oh, that's your end all be all. No, it's not. You have a whole bunch of other stuff that you have to pay on top of that. So that's an issue with Seattle housing. And then like, you may qualify for MFTE apartments if you make under a certain amount of money, but for some apartments, like, they were like, oh, you're a student, so we don't even lease to students, blah blah blah, and it was just like really annoying. So if you're a student, you may have a hard time finding places, like a nice place, because I'm a grad student. I'm about to be 27 years old. I'm 26. Like, I was like, I need a nice place. I don't want, like, you know, I don't want you know, I need a nice place, period. Like, and I just moved from a nice place. And the thing is, like, you could either live in Seattle proper and have a small apartment and it's nice and modern and you're paying so much more money, or you can live a little further and pay the same amount or a little bit more and then have a bigger place. But for me, I was just more worried about being closer and being in Seattle proper, because I wanted to be close to my rotation sites. So that was a priority to me. I didn't need the big space because I'm living by myself. So you guys will see, I live in a studio. It's pretty small, but I definitely fell in love with my space. I love my small space and I make the most out of it. And honestly, it's really good for just me. But if you're looking for a big place, then know that you're going to be spending some bank. And that's going to lead me into my fourth one. It looks like we're doing a top four. So my fourth point, I've kind of already started talking about it, but it is the price of living in Seattle. So like I was saying, Seattle is very expensive. I don't know when it got this expensive, because your girl wasn't living here, but it's expensive. And like I was saying, I had to look up to see, because I was like, Seattle is definitely one of the top most expensive cities in the US. And I looked it up on Google. I'm gonna show you guys. I don't know where they got this information, but if you look, Seattle is number 8 underneath San Jose, California. So Seattle's more expensive than Brooklyn. Like, what? And I'm not surprised when I saw that list, because actually my Uber driver that was from New York, she recently moved to Seattle, and she's talking about how expensive Seattle was. And I was like, what? You're from New York? Like, I thought New York was expensive. And she's like, no, that's if you're living in like Manhattan. But if you're living in like the Bronx, Brooklyn, she was like pretty much telling me that it's not that expensive. So I was just like, wow. like at least for the cost of living. I was just like, well, not the cost of living, at least for where you're living in those like different, I forgot what they call boroughs or whatever. So yeah, so cost of living in Seattle is definitely expensive. When I was looking for an apartment, I was looking for studios, and then I was looking for 1-bedrooms. They ranged anywhere from like 1,000 something to like, I want to say my average price that I saw was 1,400. I'm rounding up. There were some a little cheaper, okay, but I'm gonna say about 1,400 to 1,900 and up. Okay, so that's what you're looking for in Seattle. And I will say that the sizes of the place can vary. If you're going a little higher on that 1,000 side, then you're gonna have a really nice bigger apartment in Seattle. But if your budget's a little lower and even the 1,400 is out of your budget, then you are gonna have a really small space unless you want to live like further outside of Seattle. So if you want to live further south, or if you want to live like a little further north, if you don't want to be like near the heart of the city, then you might find some places that are decent. But it was really hard for me because I was doing it based on my sites, and they're pretty much really, most of them are like in the heart of the city. So yeah. So right now you guys will see, I'll do an apartment tour. My place is, like I said, it's a small studio, but I really love it. Like, I've personalized it. It has my touch to it. It feels really homey and very cozy. So to me, my apartment is like a room. Well, it is, it's a studio, but yeah. So yeah, Seattle's expensive, so I would definitely say know what you're getting yourself into. Try to tour the apartments. I wasn't able to tour apartments in person. I had to do the ones that would allow me to do FaceTime tours, and that was really difficult. But definitely prepare yourself and do your research on where you want to live in Seattle and how much it's going to cost. And I would definitely say have about 3 months worth of rent before moving to Seattle. And have a good game plan. There's plenty of things you could do to earn extra money if you want to do DoorDash, if you want to, I don't know. There's things to do, y'all. There's ways to make it work, okay? If you really want to live in Seattle. Other than that, that's it for my first video. I hope you guys did enjoy that. I hope you learned some things new, and kind of just an idea of how you want to prep to move to the city, or if you're interested in learning more about Seattle and you want to stay tuned for my Seattle series, be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And again, don't forget to tell your grandma, your auntie, your mama, your brother, his girlfriend, everybody, yeah, everybody, okay, to join my family. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Much love, y'all.